folks, for the first time in what truly feels like a calendar month, the New York Mets have won a series. How we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here. We have a lot of breakdown as the Metsies took down the Seattle Mariners. They're in the Little League Classic between the Mets and the Mariners. They're at Williamsport, Pennsylvania. I'm so happy to be finally breaking down competent baseball. The Mets had hitting. They had pitching. Francisco Alvarez, please be okay. That is a big takeaway from this one, no doubt about it. But Marky V, more like Swaggy V with the ding-dong, the sack fly. So much to love there. Klay Holmes, while he did not go beyond 5 innings, as a surprise to absolutely nobody, he was rock solid in his 5 innings of play against this red-hot Mariners team, guys. This was a series I rightfully rued heading into it, not only because the Mets lost 2 straight weeks of baseball basically in a row heading into this matchup. They lost game 1 of this series in a dramatic fashion by a final score of 11-9. They had all the reasons to believe that the Mets' free fall and their collapse would continue, but not now. Not right now. For at least tonight and with the off day tomorrow, so this can marinate a little bit, the Mets are getting slowly but surely back in the winning ways. I want to see those W's spam the live show right here, right now, everybody. Please do not hesitate from doing exactly that, guys, and thank you guys kindly for doing exactly that. I want to thank you guys so much for hitting that like and subscribe button as your first chime in, because I want to know your initial reactions to tonight's big series victory. Without a doubt, the biggest series victory the Mets have had post All-Star break. That's what this feels like right now. This is greater than the Mets sweeping the San Francisco Giants and San Fran. This is greater than the other series ones that they've had. Very Jekyll and Hyde since post All-Star break. I feel like I can count on my hand the amount the Mets have had, because there really has not been all that much good in Mets land. But today, they go out, they show out big time, and it was headlined by Mark Vientos and Francisco Alvarez. The big story with Alvarez, as we know, is that Alvarez unfortunately jammed his thumb there, sliding in his second base, legging out his second extra base hit of the ball game. Unfortunately, he would leave a half inning later, so we're awaiting word on Alvarez. No, it was not the same thumb that he injured multiple times that we saw there with his catching hand. It was his non-catching hand, so that's at least a plus. But we have to pray to all the baseball gods right now. Hopefully, we find out post-game by Carlos Mendoza that was just precautionary to have him out, because when I tell you that Francisco Alvarez has been a literal man-possessed, he has been exactly that since coming back from his latest minor league stint. And you guys are already relaying the chat, so that's great to see, everybody. Alvy's probably fine her day today. I hope so. That is obviously what we're hoping for at this point in time. But what we're also hoping for is that this will hopefully spark a fire under this Mets team. You know what? It'll finally get them on a roll to win consecutive baseball games. Thank you guys again so much for chiming in. Like I said, to all of our live viewers, to our replay viewers, spam those W's in the live chat right now. That's what I want to see. We got to get some Wardy series hype going with this big series victory there for the Little League Classic at Williamsport between the Mets and the Mariners. We got Vientos with the dono, Peter with the dono, rather, Tudaha. Vientos clutch up when the Mets play on ESPN. That is true. Vientos is known for the flair for the dramatic. He loves that big bombs on the big broadcast, and that's what I love about Mark. I will say that. While he has, of course, had such a far from ideal season for the young slugger, what he has been able to do, at least in intervals and spurts, is really clutch up big time. And if the Mets are going to at all get a clutch gene this year, it needs to be by a guy like Mark Vientos, who is such a weapon in the heart of this lineup. Roughly 30 bombs for the rookie last year. Finally, after being benched for 4 consecutive games, he goes 0 for in his next game. He stays in the lab. Mark Vientos is in there. We see Carlos Mendoza give him the pass, give him the opportunity, and he finally makes the most of it. A lot of positives to break down in this one, everybody. So, folks, get yourself, sit back, relax, and ready for the ride. We're going to break down our key takeaways, our player of the game, our player of the series Wardy's picked out. We're going to have for each and every one of you, and everything else in Mets land. So hit those buttons on your way in, everybody. Thank you guys kindly for doing exactly that. Shout out to our amazing sponsors that make our post-game shows happen after every big victory and loss throughout the course of the 162. They're at SeatGeek, that has you covered for all of your ticketing needs. Make sure you guys utilize our promo code WARDY10, link down below in the description. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase. And Moomoo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets, but more on them later on in the show. In this one, Mario, who works at Citi Field, is hyped up. A great member in the chat right now. He donates $5 and states the following: massive W. Things trains might finally start rolling. Love the Mariners and the fans, but we had to beat them. Can't wait to see you August 25th for Pogo Day. I'm going to try to be there. For those that don't know, Mets, Phillies, that is going to be a Moo Moo Monday when my amazing friends are at Moo Moo. I'm trying to attend that Monday game, so we're going to try to make it happen, barring changes, everybody. So be on the lookout for your guy, Wardy. I'm hoping to be there a week from now at Citi Field, guys. I finally have at least some type of inkling to want to attend Mets games yet again because they're starting to play competent baseball. Now, you guys are spamming the chat. Enough of me rambling. Let's let it rip, folks, as we always do. After every big victory throughout the course of the 162. You ready for the Dancy Dance? We're ready for the Dancy Dance. Get up out your seat. It's series victory time. We got to let it rip with the one, the only, the official WardyNYM post-game jingle, baby. Let's do this. Finally! There we go.
Post-game. Post-game. Calling all Met fans, come and join us now. Talking about this game and gonna break it down. It's Mets post-game.
Shout out Greg and Jordan, as always, with the post-game jingle. Love it or hate it, it is here to stay. And no, I'm never going to be in sync with it. That's kind of the running joke that we've been doing on the platform for north of 2 years right now. So shout out to my guys, as always, for making the jingle happen. Thank you guys so much for hitting that like and subscribe button on your way in. And let's get the quick roll call going to everyone watching live right now. If you guys want to have yourself shouted out by yours truly, make sure you're chiming into the live content, guys. We are just over 500 subs away from 35,000 subscribers on the platform, folks. Once we hit that latest milestone, we're giving away a new Mets jersey of whatever player you guys currently want on the roster to one lucky subscriber. We just did a jersey giveaway over this past week that's currently pending there. Shout out to my guy for winning that as well. That was awesome to see. We've given away 4 jerseys on the platform this season alone after every new 1,000 subscriber milestone we hit. Actually, I think we've given away 5 now, including the latest one that's still pending. So guys, get in on that if you haven't already. Thank you so much for that. But we got our guys, Justino, great member. Dave Kaplan's great member. We got Trenton, great member. How we doing, baby? Oh, Trenton's hyped up right now. We got Rebecca, how we doing? Broken Jester, great member. Chad, how are you? Great member in here. We got Certified, how we doing? We got Mark in the chat. We got Eamon, how we doing? We got all you guys. Rebecca, great member if I didn't say her already. Rocket Man, love the name. Rocket Man with the great membership as always. We got THJ1440, how we doing? We got Eric Douglas, longtime follower and member. How we doing, baby? Going up the list here, we got my guy Kane Flango, as always. Tingus Pingus, the usuals. Go Mets 1962. Joel, how we doing? Luis, how are you? We got Trent in the chat. We got all you guys. PB9, great friend and subscriber and member on the platform. Hope you're doing fantastic. Rich Boy, Bobby Bauer in here. Luis going up the list here. We got Max, how we doing? We got Mets 16X. We got multiple Trentons. We got another Justin in the chat. We got Dan Nugent, great member. How we doing, baby? Happy to have you in here. We're going up the list here even more. Finally, some positive vibes on a Sunday night. I feel spoiled. I don't remember the last time that I broke down competent Mets baseball on a Sunday night where we were actually happy to break down the game that just was. Guys, we have watched sorry baseball for 2.5 months straight. I'm going to take this as my little World Series right now because, my God, does not only the fan base need it, but as someone who covers them daily for a living, I needed this. I needed the chance to breathe. I needed the chance to be loud and proud about my Mets for a change instead of rambling and looking like a schmuck in which you guys are probably reacting saying, oh my God, this guy's life is going to end short because the Mets are ruining it for him. And at times when the Mets lose 2 weeks straight worth of games, of course I'm going to scream my head out as everyone else on the planet that's a Mets fan would probably do the same, right? So it really feels nice to let this one marinate a little bit. The off day tomorrow makes it even better. We're going to have new Mets content out for you guys tomorrow on the platform as well. Pre-recorded videos, potentially live shows as well, so be on the lookout for that. Dan Dodito, great member of the chat. How we doing? Thank you so much for chiming in as well. We got Chad, great member of the chat. Julia Hawkins, great member. How are you? We got Gabriel, how we doing? We got Zach Flade in the chat. We got Desert, how are you? We got Shizu. Did Holmes go 5 or 6? He went 5. We're going to break down more on Klay Holmes in just a second. We got Swim, how we doing? ESPN talking about us blowing leads all night too. Oh, it felt so great. Nothing is better than getting a victory on ESPN's broadcast, because if there is one major network that doesn't know baseball, if it smacked them across the face, look no further. Seriously, they do a better job of making sure that everyone else can yap, the players themselves, while they're actively playing the ball game, versus actually giving incompetent analysis on what's transpiring in said ball game. I'm sorry, I like player interviews, but it's almost like that's what the pregame and the postgame is for, and all the other miscellaneous things that teams do on social media. I don't need to hear every single inning about Pete Alonso. How did you get the name Pete Alonso? How do you get the nickname Polar Bear? Oh, Brandon Nimmo, how are you, Brandon? How has your season been? All the generic stuff. I would like to watch baseball. I am not here to listen to you have an interview because you don't know how to call the game through a full 9 innings and you're just trying to make time pass by. That is exactly why I've had the frustrations with this network, but I'm going to leave it at that because, of course, we're never going to fully close doors. Let's see here. We got Nicholas with a 5. This is the team we all expected Holmes with his 10th win. Listen. You're 1,000% right. And what we talk about in the case of Klay Holmes is one of these guys that we know has stuff, but he has not been able to provide length at all this season. Nor has Klay Holmes really been able to find stability with his put-out pitches to then his walks. It feels like when Klay Holmes is a solid outing, he's walking 3-4 guys. And when he isn't getting past 4 or 5 innings. He didn't walk everybody and their mother today. Klay Holmes, that we're going to break down here shortly, everybody. I'm going to let you guys start to marinate this in your head. Do not give me the answer to it yet. I just want you to think about it. Klay Holmes went 5 innings tonight of 5 hit, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 4 strikeout ball. I want you guys to start to ponder in your little brains right now, or your big brains, because I don't want to judge anyone here. Give me a scale on a 1 to 10, how you would grade Klay Holmes' final outing today. Again, we're going to break this down. Furthermore, once we actually break down the ball game inning by inning, and here in a second, the bullpen outside of Reed Garrett did what they needed to do. Tyler Rogers gets in there for the 9th inning and closed the door, even with allowing a couple base runners to get on. And this is how the Mets offense ended, as you guys can see beside me as well. The Mets had a whopping 14 hits to the Seattle Mariners 10, and the Mets yet again were productive with runners in scoring position. Were they perfect? Far from it, obviously. But we cannot be as beggars cannot be choosers when we just want competency when it comes to hitting with runners in scoring position. The Mets, over their past 7 or so games, have been batting at least around 400 or so with runners in scoring position, if not slightly lower. The Mets tonight went 5 for 15 and left 10 on base. Listen, I'm going to take that every single day of the week for a Mets team that was literally non-existent how many games this year when it comes to actually hitting with guys on base, let alone runners in scoring position. So we're going to break down all that here in just a second, everybody. Before we do, once more, thank you guys so much for hitting that like and subscribe on your way, and let me know all your initial reactions and thoughts here to the Mets taking down the Seattle Mariners by a final score of 7-3 in this one, everybody, that we are all chomping at the bit, rightfully so, to get into this game breakdown. Live interviews during live play have such an awkward feeling to them. They have an awkward feeling because most players want nothing to do with them. Why? Because it's almost like that they're paid to play a game for a living and much rather allocate their attention to the game itself than worried about answering the most cheesy ass questions imaginable. Like, you would think, and this is my final tangent, you would think that for a broadcast that they would get creative with their questioning, but they don't. It's the same most generic things that you would hear from anyone else. At least try a little bit for the 2 baseball games that you cover a month. It's really not hard to do the minimum, but unfortunately for a certain booth and a certain broadcast, that unfortunately finds itself to be the case. So that is the latest on my tangent there. Jonathan was brilliant yesterday. We're going to talk a lot about Jonathan tomorrow on the platform. Be on the lookout for that. Only reason why we didn't do it today is I want to wait until the weekend was over and we have the off day tomorrow. So I think it's a perfect transition to talk about the young Metsies on the platform tomorrow. Tito with the fight. I hope we go 9-3 with these 12 in-division games coming up. I hope this is a positive stretch for the Mets. Let's go, Mets. We love you, Wardy. I love you so much, Tito, as well. Thank you so much again for that donation. I do greatly appreciate that, guys. Guys, continue to spam those buns on your way. And folks, before we break down this ball game, I gotta let you guys hear a quick word from our amazing sponsor on the platform that many of you guys know very well, but in case you don't, let me enlighten you, because this sponsor I'm so grateful to have us on the platform, not just because they genuinely enjoy their product, but because of their current linkage with our beloved New York Mets. Let's hear from Moo. Folks, have you been seeing that big orange bowl that's making Mondays at Citi Field way more exciting? I'm talking about our amazing sponsor on the platform at Moo. As the #1 Mets channel on YouTube, I absolutely love to break down stats, analysis, really getting into the nitty-gritty numbers, and that is why I love so much Moo, because they do exactly that with that same analytical approach when it comes to investing. It's a trading platform with professional grade tools and premium research that other companies usually charge a pretty hefty price for, all come for free when you sign up as a customer with Moomoo. But folks, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And thanks to Moomoo's partnership with our beloved New York Metropolitans, all Moomoo customers can get free tickets to any and every Mets home game on a Monday throughout the course of the season. That's right, folks. Free baseball all season long for the greatest fan base in sports. Not to mention Moomoo Millions. If the Mets pull off 100 wins this season, one lucky Moomoo customer is going to come out winning $1 million. And what's nuts about this is that Moomoo has already given away $10,000 when the Mets hit first 25 wins this season, as well as $20,000 when they hit the 50-win mark. And when the Mets inevitably hit 75 wins, they're giving away $30,000. But as much as they love baseball, Moomoo's number one priority is jump-starting your investing journey, which is why they're giving the WardyNYM community up to $1,000 in NVIDIA stock just for making a qualified deposit and becoming a Moomoo customer. So folks, what are you waiting for? Head to start.moomoo.com/Wardy, scan the QR code, or click the link in the description to join the Moomoo community. Now, let's get back to our Mets. Okay, folks, final stat I want to relay. We're going to talk more about him in tonight's show, obviously. So, again, sit back, relax, and get ready for the ride. We're not rushing anything with this one. But Juan Soto just did something for the first time in his career today that I don't think that we should miss out on whatsoever. And that is as follows, everybody. Yes, Juan Soto, for the first time ever in his major league career, has himself a 30-20 season. Just to show you the significance of that, Juan Soto is by no means a fast base runner. I actually joked when the Mets first signed him that there's one thing that we shouldn't count on right away. It's obviously his defense and his base running. We knew that. Yankees fans were ragging on him all last year on how Buddy couldn't handle a fly ball, as well as handling going from first to second on the base pass. But both those things have found themselves to be a greater fallacy than ever before. Not only has Juan Soto been perfectly fine in the outfield for the most part this season, but base running, he has far exceeded expectations. Again, for the first time in his career, Juan Soto is a 20 stolen bag player. You know how rare that is? He's currently on pace to have another 100 walk season, which, should that hold true and should nothing change on that front, everybody, we're going to see Juan Soto enter a statistic category that only includes the following players in MLB's history. That is Jose Ramirez with 39 home runs and 34 stolen bags and 106 walks. That is Mike Trout with 39 home runs and 24 stolen bags for 122 walks. Paul Goldschmidt, 33 home runs, 21 walks, 118 walks, 21 stolen bags and 118 walks. We see Bobby Abreu, 30 home runs, 40 stolen bags, 127 walks, as well as another Bobby Abreu season with 30 home runs, 36 stolen bags, and 106 walks. There have only been 5 batters since I was born in the year 2000 that they have done such a statistic that we are now seeing Juan Soto do exactly that. So shout out Juan, another productive day for him, not only on the base pass, but just was nice to see him continue a little bit of the early offense in this one. I know that he didn't do anything overly special in this matchup, but that's okay. He got himself on base 3 times via walk today, and he was productive in doing so. So I'm not going to complain about that whatsoever. We got Nato with the 2 haul. Last year today, we were 64-59. I think we'll be okay. What a statistic, Nato. I'm so glad you brought that up because okay, so we were 64-59 at this point last season. The Mets are 66-58. Granted, were the expectations different heading into last season versus this season? Absolutely. It doesn't change the fact, though, that if the Mets can continue their winning ways, they should hopefully, fingers crossed, get back to being the solid baseball team that we know they can be. Do they have major flaws in certain areas? Absolutely. Do they still have clear question marks with the rotation to their bullpen and when it comes to the consistency of their offense? All these things can be true, but having said that in the same breath and same light, we can also say that the beauty about baseball that I always tell you guys, even when we're down as bad as we've been the past couple weeks, is that anything can change on a dime in Major League Baseball. That's what makes this game so great. All it takes is one series victory to potentially get a team rolling, and they never look back. We'll see if the Mets look back or not, but for right now, that's certainly a positive. He's going to get an MRI in regards to Francisco Alvarez with his thumb. Don't love that, but hopefully he was okay. As long as Alvarez's MRI comes back negative, he'll likely be day-to-day, and then he'll return. I just pray, one, that Alvarez is okay, that he isn't overly injured, and secondly, I also hope that he doesn't miss much playing time, because Alvarez, if we know anything about that man, he has been a man possessed since coming back from his latest minor league stint. And all he needed was a positive influence in his ear, and not the schmuck you call Eric Chavez. And I'm referring to JPR and Sebia, who was the Mets one of their coaches there for Syracuse. He's a former catcher, Major League Baseball catcher, and he was doing nothing but gassing up Alvarez the entire time he was in the minor leagues. You cannot tell me that he was a key factor in getting Alvarez right and getting him back to his comfortable power swing that we are now seeing absolutely rake. Alvarez currently has a 265 average and a just under 800 OPS. There is not a single Mets fan on the planet that's complaining about that. And if you are, you're a schmuck. There's no reason to complain about Alvarez and his abilities right now. Riddle, thank you so much for shaman in. You said you wanted to hi. You're a big follower of mine. Well, I'm a big follower of you now, Riddle. So thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that. I got a lot more numbers and fun stats I want to relay in the show, guys, but let's actually start to break down this ball game. Then we're going to do it play by play together here as we break everything down. If you guys have specific comments, questions, or concerns you would like me to answer, I would suggest maybe holding off on them for the next 10 minutes or so that way we can rapid fire and break down this ball game and all the good that happened along with it for this Metropolitan team. Damn, does it feel good actually talking about competent baseball, man. I feel spoiled right now. The bar's low. The bar got really darn low for us Mets fans to just be happy to put a smile on our face. But listen, I'm emotionally erratic. I'm all over the place. I'm not healthy. I'm not well, just like most of you guys watching this one. So let's just deep dive this one and get into it together. Because mind you, this game started in a rain delay, right? It was raining initially there in Williamsport, so it had like a 35-minute delay. It started right around 7:45 p.m. Eastern today. And to begin the ball game, Klay Holmes goes up and in right at Randy Arozarena. Almost takes Randy's head off right away. So you don't love that. You're saying, okay, Klay's erratic to begin this one. Can Klay settle down, or are we dealing with another bullpen outing? Well, thankfully, it would not be the latter. Klay would settle down for at least the 5 innings. He would then strike out a foul tip on Cal Riley. He was hammering slider until Cal finally bit and didn't foul it off. There's the first out of the inning. Then we see Julio Rodriguez ground into an inning-ending double play, and that gets Klay out of this one unscathed. In the bottom of the first inning, everybody, we would see Lindor get on there with a leadoff single, but after Lindor gets on with a leadoff single, he is unfortunately picked off there between first and second. I don't know what Lindor was thinking there. Bad funnies on the base running by our guy, and he gets picked off, and there's one away. Soto grounds out, and Brandon Nimmo grounds out, and we now advance to the second. In the second inning, guys, we would see one out of a single for Eugenio Suarez, who has had some solid hits against the Mets in this series, unfortunately, but that's all she wrote. Klay Holmes gets out of that unscathed. In the bottom of the second, who leads off the inning? It's the polar bear, because of course he does. Pete Alonso with his first hit of the ball game. Jeff hits right after him, so you got 2 on, no away for Francisco Eltro Alvarez. And as I've been telling you guys, Alvarez has been a man possessed. In case you guys are wondering just how good he's been, let me enlighten you. Alvarez rips his 8th double this season, gives the Mets the early 1-0 lead that we would see there, but the greater context, everybody, is as follows. It's not just that double, it's what Alvarez has done since July 21st. Why is there an importance with that date of July 21st? That's right around since he returned from his minor league stint. And since returning from his minor league stint, Francisco Alvarez currently is batting right around 293 with 4 home runs, 1 more than all he had in his first 35 games of the season, and a just under 1,000 OPS, 992 to be exact. So yeah, to say Francisco Alvarez is back is an understatement. Now we just need him to actually be healthy and stay back the way that we await to find out what his injury status is there with his thumb. So Alvy with the double, please be okay, Alvy. You've been amazing. You have been so damn good. He makes a 1-0 Mets. Brett the Hitman makes a 2-0 Mets. Beatty with a single up the middle says, I want to get involved here. I'm missing out a little bit. It becomes quickly a 2-0 Mets lead, and let's make it 3-0 because all the kids are getting involved. From Alvy to Beatty to now Marky V. A sac fly makes it 3-0 Metropolitans as we find ourselves ending the second inning. In the third, J.P. Crawford, Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs legend, if you know, you know, leads out the inning with a single, and that's all she wrote there for the inning. In the bottom of the third, we would see Juan Soto lead off things with a walk. Color me shocked. That's very Juan Soto of him. Then Pete Alonso there with a 1-out walk. So you got 2 on, less than 2 out. What's going to happen for Jeff McNeil? More like Jeff McFly out, and there's 2 away. What does Francisco Alvarez do with a key opportunity with runners on? He unfortunately was not able to pounce this time, but that's okay. You're not going to be great every single time out there. Alvarez grounds out, and that does it there for the inning. In the bottom of the third, everybody, top of the fourth, Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod, with his 22nd double of the year. Him and Juan Soto were yapping, going back and forth at each other. 2 guys who we will likely see playing together for Team Dominican Republic in the 2026 World Baseball Classic, which I look forward to hopefully attending at least one of those games in Miami, just like I did between Puerto Rico and Venezuela in 2023. No, I was not there when Edwin Diaz blew out his knee. I was there to see Lindor be captain for Puerto Rico, and Venezuela just pounced on them. They won by a good margin. Anthony Santander and others were just raking against Puerto Rico. They did not have the pitching that game. We'll see what happens next time around, though. But as we see, everybody, after we would see the Julio Rodriguez double with 2 away, Jorge Polanco drives him in there with a single. And honestly, guys, this was a play that you could rightfully argue that Francisco Lindor could have had. I understand it wasn't the easiest play to make, but at the same time, that's a play that we say to ourselves, 2 years ago, Francisco Lindor makes without hesitation. You know, when I think of Francisco Lindor's defense, I think about the best shortstops in baseball. But Lindor this season has been a very good shortstop, but he has not been at that elite status defensively the way that we saw the past couple years. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that either. It's completely true. We can all agree, and that's okay. You're not going to be your absolute best every single time out there. I think it just stains a little bit more because of how dominant Lindor has been defensively over the years. We have been rightfully spoiled with his play. So now that we're kind of seeing the guy be human, having multiple errors in a season versus when he usually doesn't have that happen, it's kind of a bit of a culture shock initially. Not something that I want to be normalized here with us Mets fans, but hopefully it's one of those things that will continue to be few and far in between, because otherwise Lindor has been tremendous like he typically is. He is such a great multi-tool athlete for this Mets team. But it's now a 2-run deficit, everybody. Alvy's going back to NY for precautionary MRI. Oh my goodness gracious. That keyword precautionary just made me really happy how good. Thank you so much for relaying that in the chat. Breaking news, everybody, in case you want to know the latest status on Francisco Alvarez, who jammed his right thumb sliding into second base to leg a single into a double, which he did. He is going back to New York with the Mets off day tomorrow, but great news, it seems it's a precautionary MRI and not necessarily one that has to happen, rather just for the sake of being safe, being smart, and that's that. Should that be true, I'm feeling a lot better about those odds and how the turnout's going to be. So that's one of the few times that you're happy to see MRI, as long as precautionary is along with it. That's usually a good thing. And he was pulled for precaution reasons as well, which we figured, because again, if he wasn't feeling comfortable gripping the baseball, he's got to throw the baseball at minimum while he's playing backstop there to throw to whoever's pitching for him. So I wasn't shocked to see Alvarez leave the game a half inning after that unfortunate exchange happened, but I'm glad to know that hopefully he's going to be okay barring changes. As we continue on from here, everybody, it would stay a 1-run ball game as Klay Holmes gets out of the rest of the jam there in the 4th inning. So as we head to the bottom of the 4th, everybody, what happens in the bottom of the 4th? Marky V's what happens. Vientos has a tremendous game for the Mets in this one. He rips himself a 1-out single, then Francisco Lindor rips himself a 2-out single. Juan Soto says, let's load the effing bases, baby, as he takes a fastball inside for a ball 4. Bases loaded, 2 away for Brandon Nimmo. All Nimmo needs to do is poke this baseball out there, and we're going to increase the lead instead. Nimmo lines out there to JP Crawford, and that does it for the inning. In the 5th, the final inning of the day for Klay Holmes, he goes 1-2-3 on Randy Rosarena, Cal Riley, and Julio Rodriguez. Guys, he did not provide length, but he provided quality. Let's take a moment to appreciate Klay Holmes and what was a perfectly fine final line. Again, I know, like you, I too am tired of every single starter final line beginning with a 5 and not a 6 or a 7. I've been crying about this for the past couple of years since I started covering baseball. I truly despise, seeing a rotation built on guys that are not giving you length. I also understand that today's game of baseball doesn't provide that much length. Brian Wu, who the Mets just faced a day or so ago, leads all the American League in average innings pitched per game, and he's not even averaging 7 innings. He's averaging, I think, 6.2 or so. Point still stands. I would have loved to see a guy like Klay Holmes give us at least 6 innings today against the Mariners lineup. I know the Mariners are good, but I really would have liked to see more length here. Instead, he goes 5 innings, and the amount of pitches that he throws today, everybody, were as follows. Klay's day ended at 88 pitches across 5 innings. 5 hit, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. And when we break down just a little bit more on Klay Holmes and his arsenal today, everybody, this is what it was. We're going to break down the following. Klay had the entire kitchen sink thrown out in this one. He had an array of 6 different pitches. It was a sinker headline at 32% of the arsenal, topped out 96 and sat right around there 94. His spin rate average was right around 22 to 2300 RPMs. Then we look at the sweeper. 30 of the percentile. Topped out 85, sat right around 83 there. He topped out almost at 3,000 on the spin rate and sat right around 2,900. The changeup at 20% of the arsenal, topped out that we saw 89, sat right around 88, didn't have any spin. Slider, 8% of the arsenal, topped out 88, sat right around 86, and he was sitting right around 2,700 on his spin rate there. The cutter at 6% of the arsenal, topped out 92, sat right around 91, and topped out 2,500 on the spin rate, sat 2,400. And the 4-seam that he threw just 4 times today at 5% of his arsenal, topped out 96, sat right around 94, and sat right around 23 23, to 2,400 on the RPM. So I'm going to go, guys, today with my Klay Holmes final grade. I'm going to give him a rock solid 6.5 out of 10 from your guy Wardy. I don't think that Klay did anything stellar today. I think he got the job done. I thought he honestly attacked these hitters pretty well for the Mariners. I like some of the swing and miss that we got. Obviously, Klay has been so Jekyll and Hyde in his strikeout rates. That's why you should never bet on a Klay Holmes prop at this point in the season. I think you're silly to do that. But I'm going to give Klay a 6.5 today because not only was this outing solid, it's the fact that the Mets have now 2 consecutive starter outings of allowing 1 earned run baseball or less. I cannot remember the last time this season that the Mets had back-to-back outings where their starters were competent for 5 or more innings and did not allow more than 1 earned run. We have to bear in mind the context of how bad this team has been for such a great stretch this season. So because of that reason, that is why I'm kind of going a little bit higher on my grade than I otherwise would with 6.5 today. But knowing how desperate the Mets have been needing some type of quality from the rotation is why I'm going with the grade that I did. So if you guys agree with my grade or disagree with my grade, that's fine. Let me know in the live chat as well as to our replay viewers in the comments down below. How would you grade Klay Holmes' final line today on a scale of 1 to 10? I would love to hear it, everybody. Same way I would love to hear how this ball game continued because, again, it's in the Mets' favor, so I'm not complaining about breaking down good Mets baseball for a change. Let's get into it. In the 5th inning, it's a 1-2-3 there for the Mariners, as we just mentioned. So in the bottom of the 5th, what happens? Jeff McHits is what happens with a 1-out single. Francisco Alvarez with a single. He's staying hot, everybody. And after Beatty flies out, Mark Vientos says it's my time to shine. Marky V gets a ball. It's high, it's far, and it is gone. His 8th home run this season. Oppo taco for Mr. Vientos off of George Kirby, because if there's one thing we know about Mark is that he knows how to spread for all fields when he's right with the power, and he did that yet again. Took his pitch 3, his sinker, 97 upstairs, but it's way too middle, way too much hard to play, and is smacked 104 miles per hour, 385 feet. The kids are absolutely jumping for joy there at the Little League Classic. You see all the teams represented from all the different states as well as the different countries. They're all amped up there in attendance and witness that Swaggy V 3-run ding dong, and that gave the Mets at the time at least a 6-1 lead in this ball game. And thankfully, it would not end. Things would get, for the most part, better with the exception of one little blunder there in the bullpen that we're going to break down shortly. But after Vientos gets his 8th home run of the season, everybody, Cedric Mullins wants to keep the line initially going in this inning as he smokes his 22nd double of the year there on a nice sharp line drive there to Dominic Canzone and right. And then we would see, folks, Francisco Lindor continues the hit parade. Lindor gets a double, his 25th of the season there for Lindor. He makes his 7-1 Mets as that would come in and drive in Cedric Mullins. But the context of this double is important, as this was more of a bad funnies double than anything else. The outfielders look like that they got lost in the lights that we saw there from Canzone as well as Julio Rodriguez. They just could not handle it. They're both trying to get the ball looking like schmucks in center right field. It drops right past them. Here comes Cedric Mullins in to score, and the Mets are up by 6. As we continue on from there, Juan Soto would ground out, but not before the Mets put up a nice multi-run, a 4-run spot there. Finally, a 5th inning that goes in favor of the Mets and not against the Mets. It feels like the 4th and 5th inning, the Mets have given up 4 or 5 runs every single effing game for the past 2 weeks. Not today. This time they said it's our turn for a change. As we get to the 6th inning, Brooks Raley, who was batting practice his last time out there, easily his worst outing of the year. Brooks Raley has been utterly dominant every single outing with the exception of what he just did previously in his series. But you know what? We go right back to Brooks, and that's okay, because Brooks Raley is a dog, and he should be appreciated. He gives up a 2-out single to Jorge Polanco, and he does walk Dominic Canzone, but it doesn't matter because he gets a line out on JP Crawford to end the inning unscathed. Brooks Raley now, everybody, just to give you guys some context how good he's been this season, he currently has a 2.70 ERA, and that ERA is so inflated by the 3 earned runs that he gave up earlier in this series. Mario, great member with the $2 haul. Thank you, Mario. He says, LMF, laughing my ass off to the Phillies fans that heckle Pete today. I mean, listen, you're going to have people heckle Pete. It's going to happen. The great thing is that usually when you heckle players, it's because they're doing something right. And Alonso's been doing a lot of things right throughout the course of the 162 this year. Rightfully so. As we continue on, everybody, the Mets don't do anything in the bottom of the 6th. They go down in order 1, 2, 3. In the 7th inning, here comes Reed Garrett. And sadly, Reed Garrett was not all that sharp. After he gets a ground out on Cole Young, he gives up a single, then a Rennie Rosarena at the top of the order, and then Cal Riley. Listen, if you're going to give at all benefit of the doubt to giving up a home run, Cal Riley is the exception, because Cal Riley is the best home run hitter in all Major League Baseball this season. He smoked one against the Mets earlier this series, and he did so yet again. He gets, mind you, a splitter that was not poorly placed. So for everyone that's going to go ahead and rag on Reed Garrett, Please understand the context of where this pitch is. This is less on Reed as it is more on the dominance and the brilliance that is the great hitting of one Cal Riley. And I'm going to show you guys the side-by-side right now just so you guys know that I'm not BSing as I relay this to each and every one of you. Look at the pitch placement by Reed Garrett, guys. You cannot tell me in confidence that Reed Garrett just had a terrible outing there because of that pitch. Look at this splitty. It's down and away. It is down and away. It's not even the zone, but instead, it's still hit for a bomb. The shallowest home run you'll ever see. And mind you, a Little League Classic ballpark, so I think that's important context as well. This is not a home run in every stadium by any stretch. It's not even 95 miles per hour on the exit velo. It's 338 feet. It just gets out there, literally. And that makes it a 4-run lead still for the Mets. By that point, it is now 7-3. So that is what happens. That's the context behind Reed Garrett's home run that he gave up. I think that's important to make note of because it's easy to beat up on Reed. It's easy to beat up on certain relievers when you see them give up a bomb and just say, oh, guy was a bum today. Not necessarily the case every time out there, though. And I don't feel that that was necessarily the case here in this one. Because after that, he will then get some nice outs. He gets a nice strike 3 on Julio Rodriguez and a pop out on Josh Naylor. Again, elite batters. Really good batters for the Mariners, and Reed Garrett handles without a problem. So if we exclude the best home run hitter in baseball that's doing otherworldly things right now, I think we could say that Reed Garrett was honestly more than fine. As we then get to the bottom of the 7th inning, everybody, Francisco Alvarez with his last hit of the day. Buddy was dominating. He had 3 hits on the day. As you guys see right beside me, that was his final hit there. Sliding into second base, unfortunately. Trying to leg a single into a double. It works, but it comes at the cost of him jamming his right thumb. Now we await the MRI results as he was sent back to New York for a precautionary MRI. Hopefully everything's good there. Jen in the chat, how are we doing, my guy? Happy to have you in here as well. Everyone watching live on a replay, thank you guys so much for being in here. Me and my fiance started a fun game putting our Mets cards we have on a showcase 2 days ago in hopes they go back, get back in it and out of the slump. I picked Jeff Vigneault's signature and DeGrom she chose. Well, I actually love that. Even though Jake is not on the team anymore, I like the idea of trying to build the vibes, getting the team morale going. That's one way to do it. So seriously, love to hear that for you and your wifey. Love to hear nothing more than a Mets couple try to do everything in their power to get the boys right. Listen, whether you're putting out cards on display or whether you got to go full major league and have your own little voodoo set up there going and your damn locker, I will take whatever can be thrown the Mets' way to get them back in their winning ways. So by all means, continue to do you, boo. Whatever works is what works. As we continue on from here, everybody, we would see nothing else happen in the inning, but the Mets are still up 7-3. In the 8th inning, guys, we would see Ryan Helsley come in, and I know, just like you, kind of shaking in my boots. Can Ryan Helsley be a competent pitcher today, or is he going to be batting practice yet again? And listen, Helsley was good, not great today. Really didn't get a lot of swing and miss, but he wasn't bad at the same time. He first gets a called strike 3 on Eugenio Suarez, which is nice. Then he gets a strikeout on Jorge Polanco, which I'm not complaining about. So back-to-back Ks right away for Ryan Helsley. Then he gives up a 2-out walk to Dominic Canzone, and I will just say, this is a borderline walk. This should have been a strikeout in Ryan Helsley's favor because if we break down the numbers here just a little bit more on how this at-bat went between Canzone there and Helsley, it should relay the following, even though my thing is absolutely terrible at loading right now. Well, I don't know. Maybe the website isn't going to load for me. So if it doesn't load, that's fine. You're a schmuck. We can improvise. Why? Because thankfully, Wardy has a phone on his fingertips. So even when the computer isn't going to work for me, oh, here we go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, you guys. You guys tell me. You guys tell me your thoughts about this, right? This is kind of crazy. We look at a ball, a called strike, and then a ball. This is, I'm sorry. Actually, whoever said, someone texted me and said it should have been a strike. Let's take a look at this. So, strike, this is just nasty. Let's just look at it together. There's nothing good about this. Look at this. Pitch 1, ball. Pitch 2, ball. Pitch 3, ball. Pitch 4, it's a called strike. It should have been a 4-pitch walk. Should have been a 4-pitch walk, no doubt about it. But that didn't happen. Instead, it's a 5-pitch walk. And you would see that pitch number 5. Mind you, that is the closest pitch in the zone. That number 5, that's a borderline strike. If you're going to call that a strike upstairs, why in God's name are you not calling pitch number 5 as a strike as well? If you're really going with this expanded strike zone, at least be somewhat consistent. God forbid the umpires knew how to do anything whatsoever. I realize that's a lot to ask, and F them and their union, and I will stand on that. We are standing on F the umps, F the union, and we cannot wait for the automated strike zone. Cannot come soon enough, along with challenging these plays and actually have these umpires exposed on the big jumbotron every game, rightfully so, when you go ahead and you challenge said play. In the bottom of the 8th inning, everybody, we see Lindor strike out. Soto then gets on with a 1-out walk. And then Soto, as I relayed earlier, gets on with his 20th stolen bag of the year, slides into second there easily. He is now, for the first time in his career, a 30 home run hitter and a 20 stolen bag guy. And to share further context on this, everybody, let me relay these stats because they are pretty sick. And shout out to my guy, Jolly Olive, for relaying them initially on X. So Juan Soto, again, has reached 20 stolen bags for the first time in his career with 10 more home runs this season. If he can get there, he'll become the first player since 1999 to have a 40 home run, 20 stolen bag, and 100 walk season. He'd also be the 5th batter since 1961 to do this, joining Jeff Bagwell, Barry Bonds, Chipper Jones, and we all love Chipper, said absolutely nobody, and Carl Yastrzemski. Pretty damn good company, if you ask me. Do I think Soto's going to get 10 home runs in the final month and a half of the season? No. I do not anticipate that to happen. But if something changes, if Soto becomes a man possessed, if he goes demon time and gives us another 10 piece so that way we get a 40 piece on the year, then by God, he'll be doing something special. We're going to gladly take that. Yeah, Soto with the ABS system is easily getting a 1,500 OPS because he has a better eye at the strike zone than any umpire that the union can find themselves hiring. That is a statistical fact. We know that for sure. Soto gets on with the walk in the stolen bag. Nimmo then gets on with a single, everybody, but that does it. Alonso strikes out and McNeil grounds out. Then, folks, we get set for the 9th inning. Here comes the submariner that we love so much in Tyler Rogers. Mind you, Tyler Rogers was traded for Jose Butto, Drew Gilbert, and I'm blanking on the third one. Really bad right now. Jose Butto, Drew Gilbert, and who was it? Blade Tidwell. Blade Tidwell has looked brilliant in the minor leagues for San Fran. He's made clear adjustments that they are working with, and it's working well. He also, Jose Butto has been rock solid from my understanding. I also know that Drew Gilbert hit his first career home run today, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations to Drew Gilbert. Gilby, I'm wishing everyone well from that trade. I don't have any ill will with anyone that the Mets trade away, obviously. But I love Tyler Rogers. And I love Tyler Rogers so much that I really do hope the Mets bring him back next season. I know that we can afford him. It's just a matter of him having interest to return more than anything. Rogers comes in, guys, and he gets out of a nice 2-on jam without a problem because he first gets a pop out on Cole Young. He gets a pop out on Randy Arozarena. Then he gets Cal Riley, of course, with the single because Cal Riley has been amazing this entire season as well as this series in particular. Then J-Rod gets on with a single. Again, two of the best hitters in this line for the Mariners, getting the job done. Now, guys, Luis Angel Acuna, who was the 27th man in today's game, that he got the call that we saw, and he would get the final out of the ball game as he gets the throw there to Alonso for the Josh Naylor ground out, everybody, and that does it. That does it for the ball game. The Mets go on to win this one comfortably by a final score of 7-3. Man, does it feel nice to say the Mets won a series comfortably. Again, cannot fathom the last time the Mets did that. And in case you guys are wondering, the Mets won how many series post All-Star break? This was just their 3rd series victory. 3rd series victory for some context. Now, how do we look in the standings right now? Well, as we guys can see through the wild card, the Mets currently have a 1.5 game lead on the Cincinnati Reds. They are 3 games behind the Padres. They're 4.5 games behind the Chicago Cubs. And they're still at least 5 games behind the Philadelphia Phillies because the Phillies did, in fact, win today. But at least we're on a winning direction. That's just huge news, guys. The Mets are 3-7 over their past 10 games. We know that they have not been good. But it's about what can you do now? You can't change the past as much as we want them to. How can you rewrite the script going further? And this is exactly how he does that. Sean with a $2. Marky V is 1,000,000 times better than Pumahass Beatty. Okay, so let's get into the Beatty versus Vientos debate. This is always a spicy one. 2 things can be true, guys. Mark Vientos is the better power hitter than Brett Beatty. He has more power and gap-to-gap potential than Brett Beatty. But Brett Beatty does laps around Mark Vientos as a full athlete. And this is not a slight on Vientos, as it's a statistical fact. When Vientos can be competent with his glove and actually be in somewhat a positive on the defensive front, we'll have a discussion. Until then, both these things can be true. One man has more offensive upside with the power, and another man is a far more versatile and better defender while being a decent bat. Both those things can be true in the same light, because that is the reality of Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty. You can't tell me otherwise because you're wrong. This is a fact. Man, spending time responding to a comment that bad state. What? Poker, what are we talking about? I'm so confused. I'm very confused. What are you reminding me of in the chat right now? What did I miss here? In regards to the comment that you were saying, guys. Also, another thing that I want to relay, stat-wise for each and every one of you, that I think is important to share in regards to the Mets. And then we're going to talk more on the pitcher, the bullpen, the key takeaways from that, as well as other things. We did hear from Rob Manfred on the broadcast today emphasize how much they are going to be doing a geographical realignment once they expand MLB. Now, this was a very hot button topic, so I'm going to be brief with this, but I really want to share my 2 cents on it. Anyone who has not been paying attention is surprised by this. But if you've been paying attention, the realignment is something that the Mets have been, just meant the super chat. I got you, brother. The realignment is something that Manfred and MLB have been proposing for years. And the exact reason as to why the Mets play every single team in baseball for at least one series now is because of this. In case you guys have not been paying attention, the whole reason why the schedules changed 2+ years ago is to warm you up to the reality that there's going to be a realignment. That is what this is. So when we see another team or two added in Major League Baseball over the next 5 to 10 years, that is going to further move the needle for there to be a realignment. And yes, that realignment will consist of the New York Yankees and the New York Mets playing in the same division. That is pretty much all unofficially official. This is not surprising if you guys have been in on the know for this past couple years, but if you haven't, let me enlighten you. This has been in the works for a while. I know it's not something that a lot of people love to hear, but it's kind of inevitably happening. Unless there's major pushback across Major League Baseball, this is likely happening. And it does make sense because, believe it or not, guys, a lot of the players do not love to travel. As Rob Manfred, and I'm not a Manfred guy, but I do understand what he's trying to say here. The lack of travel is going to benefit the players greater than ever before. Players despise, to a degree, having to travel as much as they do with the scheduling right now because you're playing every single team for at least one series. That used to not be the case. So what's likely going to happen? Again, regardless of how much you guys like or dislike it, I'm just telling you, this is what they've been in the works on. You're going to likely have a realignment where you're either going to continue to have the East, the West, the Central, or it's just going to be one big East and one big West. And when that happens, then you're going to have the Mets and the Yankees playing more often. And if they're going to actually make it into, say, 5-team divisions, then what I'd assume would be the case would be as follows. Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, Nationals, and then who's the final one that I'm blanking on? Phillies. That is a 5-team division I could actually see making sense. Again, you may not love it. This may be, again, the worst thing imaginable that you're hearing. I'm just relaying my 2 cents because when it inevitably happens, don't come crying or acting like you're surprised by it, okay? That is something that we're probably going to see. So, something along those lines. And it's going to be crazy. The idea of the Mets and the Yankees playing competitively every season for actually, good reason to play, to actually build a rivalry beyond the Subway Series, it might ruin families. It may really do insane things to the makeup of New York baseball. It may change everything in more ways than one. This would kill the sport. I disagree with that wholeheartedly, Roger, but I do think that'll change a lot and cause a lot of division and a lot of debates. That's what I do think will happen, for sure. The Orioles, that's tough, right? Because if you're going to have the Nationals, you got to have the Orioles too, don't you? See, this is where we start to get in those debates, right? It's going to be a good conversation to have going forward, no doubt about it. But that's all I have to say about that. What we have to get into on the stats front, everybody, is as follows. This is how the Mets game ended. Pitching-wise, Klay Holmes, we gave him a 6 out of 10 today, everybody. Or can you read more about this, James? Just look up, honestly, MLB realignment, because there have been numerous articles that have come out over the past year about it, and Manfred has continued to relay this because, again, he's trying to warm you up to it because they're going to be pushing hard to make it happen. So, Klay Holmes, I gave a 6.5. Mets bullpen today, going 1, 2, 3, 4 innings, allowing 2 earned runs. Bullpen grade is also going to get a 6.5 out of 10 today. Wasn't brilliant, but it wasn't terrible either. That's why I'm going 6.5 collectively from everybody in between. On the offensive end, this is the Mets offense. This is how the ball game ended for everybody. And it is as follows. Francisco Lindor, another really good day of the plate for Lindor. You could tell that he's finally starting to find that swing over this past week. Again, 259 average, 782 OPS. Juan Soto, 3 walks, 251 average, 880 OPS. Brandon Nimmo, 253 average, 760 OPS. Pete Alonso, 268 average, 871 OPS. Jeff McNeil, 253 average, 770 OPS. Francisco Alvarez, who's been looking amazing, 265 average, 787 OPS. Terens, 214 average, 581 OPS. Beatty, 239 average, 716 OPS. Vientos, 232 average, 648 OPS. Acuna Matata, 239 average, 578 OPS. Mullins, 221 average, 712 OPS. And a rehash, in case you guys are just chiming in, the Mets went again 5 for 15 with runners in scoring position today, and they left 10 on base. Not the best, but most certainly not the worst. And again, Omar, that's okay if you think it's a terrible idea. I'm just telling you, this is kind of inevitable. So you guys can continue to have your uproar all you want. I'm just saying, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just relaying what is basically being thrown out there, what's likely going to happen within the next 5 to 10 years. I know it might be a nightmare to some of you guys. I don't love it either. I hate the idea of maybe the Braves not being even in the same division as the Mets anymore. That would like ruin the rivalry entirely. But at the same time, I don't know. It's out of my control. So I'm just kind of rolling with the punches right now to see what's going to happen on that front. Dear Mets, please win the World Series this year so that they can make this change. I will be finally satisfied with quitting baseball. My team won, GG. So Radiant's like, please win this year and I'll never watch again. Noted. You got it. That's pretty funny. But guys, as we continue to break down this ball game, I'm now going to cut things off for all of our replay viewers. So before we get out of here, let me relay the following to my replay viewers, and then we're just going to answer a Q&A segment for the next 10 minutes to all of our live viewers, as we typically do for our post-game coverage. And it is as follows, guys. Wardy's player of the game today, without hesitation, has to be Swaggy V. Mark Vientos find that home run swing, going to Apotaka the way they did. Alvarez is a close second because I'm so impressed with Alvarez and his ability to swing the bat the way that he is right now. But Mark is my guy, obviously, today. So happy. I don't really think I remember the last time this season I said that Mark Vientos was my player of the game. It really has been forever. So I'm really happy to say that. And secondly, my player of the series, everybody. Now, there have been some key offensive standouts in this series, but there is one man who has really impressed me with his consistency, and that is Francisco Lindor. Lindor is my player of the series on the offensive end, and on the pitching end, step right up and meet Cowboy Ohtani himself. Noah McLean is my pitcher of the series. So again, in order, everybody, and I would love to hear you guys in the live chat and the replays down below. Who is your player of the game? I'm going Vientos. Who's your player of the series offensively? I'm going Lindor. And who's your pitcher of the series? I'm going McLean. I think that those are relatively easy picks for the 1, 2, 3, but you guys let me know all your thoughts in the live chat. Spam it right now to all of our live viewers and to all of our replay viewers, everybody. This is where we'll be cutting things off. Hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Help us get a 300 plus likes to our live and reoccurring viewers. People in the live chat, let's answer those comments. People on replay, thanks again for watching. Let's go Mets. Peace out.